everybody. It's Stephen and Walter here for another episode of So Chatty. Why does it feel like you're sitting on my lap? There we go. I don't want that.
Better not. You'd be too heavy for me.
Oh, yeah. Bite me, bitch. It is May the 1st, 2026. Yes, well, we're moving into the warmer weather, although you wouldn't know it. The last few days here, it's been kind of still chilly, and we have a frost warning out. So that's not unusual in Canada in May. You don't put your plants out. The rule is until the 24th of May, because by then there shouldn't be any frost. So we still have a few weeks to go.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what are we working on? Well, we got lots of things for you today. But first of all, let's take a look at what I've been working on. And yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is an In the Hoop project. It will be a tote bag. It is called Gilded Books and Blooms. It is a Urban Threads design. I've got a few more panels to stitch out, and then I got to sew the panels all together, then do the bag shape and the lining and the handles. So you can't do the lining or the bag shape in the hoop. All you're doing in the hoop is the actual embroidery of these panels, and then from there, it's got to be lined.
It looks like a book bag.
Well, it could be. Do you think? Not that I'll put any books in it, because I don't own any books anymore. I only read electronically. So, yeah. But you could probably put other things in there. Well, it says Gilded Books and Blooms. So, big bouquets of flowers. Every time you go to the flower market, fill it up with your daisies and your African violets and your daffodil, whatever in there. Yeah, but anyways, I think it'll look quite nice when it's done. It's kind of elegant looking. A lot of it's in the hoop applique and embroidery, so a little bit of both in there. And you have to double everything. Excuse me. Because you got a front and you got a back. I mean, you could be faster if you just did the back plane, but I'm not doing that. I want it on both sides. So that's one thing. And I've started another new project, and I'll explain why in a few minutes, but these are scrap fabrics left over from the shirts Walter has made for me. And so I thought, well, I'm trying to use them up. So I'm kind of designing this on the design wall and putting the pieces together. I'm doing it on point for something a little different. And there's much more of it to go. I'm making it up as I go along. Can you tell? Yeah, I'm sure you can. I don't know if I'm going to develop this into a pattern or not. I'm just trying to use up scrap fabrics in an interesting way. So we'll see how that turns out. I don't even have a name for it. It's my new quilt. That's all I have for it now. Walter did have a name for it earlier, because there's kitty cats on some of the fabric and parrots on some of the other. And what did you call it?
Peckers and pussies.
Peckers and pussies, yeah. That may be the name of this quilt. Peckers and pussies. Maybe I'll let Walter free motion quilt it. Or maybe I won't. We will see. Anyways, besides your free motion quilting, which we'll come to in a minute, how you doing on that shirt?
Well, I've got it done almost, except I just have to put the buttons on it. So I was trying to decide whether I was going to do that today or join the sew group tomorrow and do it during the sew group tomorrow.
Well, you could do that. We'll be done by the time you get on there, but
Yeah.
Yes. But anyways, he has been busy at his free motion quilting. So here's his latest feathers. They look pretty good. And then you did some little scrolly things.
Yeah, my scrolly things weren't that great.
I think they got better at this end.
Yeah, I got still not great, but I was more I didn't practice it on paper first, so which I really should do, because getting the motion, trying to go, you're supposed to do the swirl one way and then it flows into doing it the opposite way. And I was having trouble getting my brain going so that it was going one way and the other way.
Well, anyways, they're coming along.
Yeah.
Quite nicely. And then your latest, what were you doing here?
I was messing around last night. I was using some rulers, and the swirly part I was doing without the stitch regulator on.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so
So do you like that better?
It flows better, but I still got to get the hang of it a bit.
I guess once you get into the
Rhythm.
feel emotion of it,
Yeah.
the rhythm. This is interesting. The swirl with the feathered like things
Yeah.
around it. And then on this end,
I was doing a bit more feathers again and stuff. One feather has a big appendage coming out of it.
Oh, what? Oh, that one's rude. Yes, I
Yeah.
just saw that. Okay. This one here looked like it had potential to be quite.
Yeah, what happened? The thread broke on halfway through, and that was using without the stitch regulator. So.
Oh, okay.
And then I was at that point, and I said, "I'm giving up. I'm tired."
Oh. But that one looks like had great potential here. This looks like one of the better ones, actually. But when you know your thread broke. And did you use rulers to put your grid on your?
Yeah, I did
sheet?
that, and the what do you call it? The thing that on the machine.
Oh, the channel locks.
Yeah, channel locks for the horizontal lines, and then the vertical lines I use a ruler.
Well, that's because there's no channel locks for the vertical
No, I know.
on the Lucy. If we had the Millie, it would have them.
Yeah,
but we don't have them. Well, it's coming along very nicely. So what's not coming along very nicely is the Alaska quilt. I basically have given up. I cannot get my points right on it, no matter what I do. I am very disappointed in this, and it's not just me. I've seen a few of you have written comments on the videos when I've talked about the Alaska quilt, and some of you have attempted it before too, and it was kind of, well, it's not good, but it's nice to know that I'm not alone in the problems with that pattern. Okay, I'm just going to say it. The designer of that pattern cannot write patterns. There are so many things that are left out, that you are left to your own devices. One of them is matching up the pieces so that you get the right, because you're putting things on angles, so you have enough fabric hanging over the edges so that it will cover the point, but at the same time, so your point doesn't get too close to, where the next piece, the next unit will go on. That's what's cutting off the points. I have tried all kinds of things. Now, I'm sure somebody out there is going to say to you, oh, you just need to do this and that. Yeah, there's always somebody out there. But I've looked at every bloody video I can find on YouTube about doing the Alaska quilt. Some from the designer, many from other people that have attempted it. One person was having success. It's because she was not using the Alaska quilt ruler that was designed by the designer. I am purposely not saying the designer's name because those of you that you know who it is. And I have very little respect for that person, and I'm not going to say that person's name. But because of the way she has designed this and the way she presents it in her videos, she doesn't show you how to match the pieces up. She mentions that in this ruler she has designed specially for this. It has little holes and you use a pin and put that in. I tried that. That didn't make much of a difference. Plus, she didn't show it the whole thing in the video. And this is the problem with her videos. She gets going and you're right into it and you say, oh, well, okay, this is going to work. Let's watch it further. She suddenly starts going on about how beautiful the fabric is or something out, like she saw a squirrel, and comes back and doesn't come back to that spot, starts on something else. Very difficult to follow. Plus, she goes at a lightning speed. Yeah, she knows what she's doing because she designed it. But as a good teacher always knows, you know more than the people you're teaching. So you have to drop it down to their level if they're going to get anything out of it. She doesn't do that. She's a bit arrogant, really. I find her whole tone arrogant. But beyond all of that, stop doing personality assassination. Beyond that, the instructions, she puts about 4 different steps into one little paragraph and it all runs together. Her diagrams in the book are in shades of blue. The blues are not that differentiated. So, and it's important that you follow those, because if you don't get those pieces in the right spot, when you start to put the quilt together, the secondary pattern is going to look, it's not going to look like anything. It's going to be a mess. And I've had to rip it out a couple of times when I realized, oh, I've done that. somebody told me that they had attempted this, but they used the Deb Tucker 180 Studio ruler. I'm not sure which one they used. In fact, when we were down at our local quilt store, one of the ladies that works there, she taught it as a class, but she wasn't in that day, so I couldn't find out exactly which ruler she used, but she had mentioned that she used it instead. She was better. But this one lady said that, yeah, she has points, but her blocks are coming out 10.5 inches or 10 inches square instead of 9.5. But you can cut them down, and when you cut them down, you'll be able to measure up your 1/4 inch seam allowance very easily, and you won't have to worry about cutting off your points with it. The problem with this designer's version is there has been absolutely no room for trimming anything down. So if you're not bang on, and I'm still not sure what bang on it means in her pattern, then you're going to lose your points, and it's going to look like crap as far as I'm concerned. Now, maybe some people can live with their points cut off. I can't. I used to think I could when I first started quilting because I didn't know any better, but I know better now. So, yeah, can you hear the frustration in my voice? So, I have a bunch of these blocks made. I'm not going to make the quilt. I've put it away for now. It may stay away for a long, long time. I don't know. When we come back from Japan, I might pull it out again. I might salvage some of the blocks and make them into a table runner of some sort. Or I'm actually even thinking of taking the blocks, chopping them up, rearranging them, and making it look like a fractured quilt. You know, different pieces all over the place and stuff like that. But it's not going to be the Alaska quilt. I will have nothing more to do with it. I am very frustrated. And I even thought about rewriting her pattern so that there would be room to trim. But why? Yeah, it's a nice quilt, but there's lots of nice quilts out there. Yes, I spent a lot of money on the kit for the fabrics, the ruler, the book, the whole bit, but cut my losses. That was 2 years ago I did that. So, you know, out of sight, out of mind. Oh yeah, and the other thing too is I asked the person who was using the other ruler, I said, well, in the pattern you're working from, see, another problem with this pattern is it's written in 1/8 of an inch. In the book, there's a book form that has other ones of her patterns. And I hate 1/8 of an inch, which I didn't realize when I bought that book because it was sealed up. I didn't see that because I would have thought twice. She has paper templates in the book for cutting out the pieces. But paper templates, come on. I think that's why she developed the ruler. But what she didn't bother to do was to write new instructions for the ruler use with the pattern. So I asked this other person, did you buy this as a book or did you buy it as a separate pattern? Because I think you can get a separate pattern. She said, well, she got it in sort of a book, but it's different from the book that I've got. And I said, did it account for the ruler? She said, no, nothing's been changed. So really, bad business model. If you're trying to sell something you have designed and you're selling it by way of your pattern, then doesn't it behoove you to not write instructions that include your ruler? Because the ruler ain't cheap either. I forget what it costs, about $35, $40, something like that. So I am very discouraged. I'm very disappointed. Maybe if you want to do the Alaska quilt, maybe you'll have better luck than me. Maybe I need to have more experience, but I don't think so. I can read patterns, and I'm experienced. I've done complicated quilts before. This one, no, not happening. So bye-bye Alaska with that one. Okay, that was my rant for the day. Coming up, sewing with me on Wednesday. It will be the next week. Next Wednesday will be the last one for 3 Wednesdays. Because we go to Japan. And we leave for Japan a week from this coming Sunday. So, yeah, there won't be any sewing with Stephen. So you get a holiday, those of you that are regulars. You get about a 3-week holiday. And you know what they say? Distance and time makes the heart grow fonder, so you'll miss me. And when I come back, you'll all be all overjoyed and excited. That's what I tell myself in my head, and I'm going to believe it. Okay, pop-up sew day, though, this coming Saturday, which at the time we're recording this on May the 1st, so Friday, May the 1st, so tomorrow, Saturday, May the 2nd, pop-up sew day. It's a Zoom Links are in the show notes. 8 o'clock start in the morning, but you don't have to come at 8 o'clock. You can come whenever you want to come during the day. We'll run from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time and work on whatever, do whatever. When will the next pop-up so day be if you can't make that one? I don't know. But I don't think there'll be another one in, well, I know there won't be another one in May. So, yeah, and actually June is starting to fill up too. So I'm hoping to have a pop-up so day sometime in early June. We shall see what we shall see. Okay, this past week, Monday Morning Coffee with me was live. So if you've seen the replay, it's a little longer than my usual ones because when I do the live, it just gets longer. And we talked about all kinds of things, and I had quite a good turnout for it. I think at one point we were over 100 people on the live, and we started at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday morning. So that's pretty good. So there will be another one. Last Monday of every month will be when I will do Monday Morning Coffee with Stephen. Those ones will be live. All the other Monday morning coffees will be recorded. Okay, Idiot Quilter talked about designing a pattern with EQ8. I'm now working on a series showing you how I made Healing Waters. That's my free pattern. There's a link for it in the show notes. It's free for you to download from my Google Drive. It's in PDF format. It's not really a sew along, although I will be breaking it down into parts. But for the first part, I'm going to show you, basically it's a process video. I'm showing you how I designed it. And how I came up with the idea and all the things, how I picked the fabrics for it. And the first video, which is up now, is using EQ8. And I'm not an expert on using EQ8. I've had it for a while. It has a huge learning curve. That's kind of on a need-to-know basis is the way I approach it. But anyways, that's what's there this week. So we have 2 demos for you today. I had a request from one of my regular sew people that comes on Wednesday. They remembered that I had done a video about how not to cut off your points. Isn't that ironic? We're talking about the Alaska quilt. Yeah. And for the life of me, I couldn't remember which video I put it in. I knew it wasn't that long ago. But then the more I got thinking about it, the more I got talking to other people. I did it, I think, live as a request from somebody that was on a pop-up sew day. And I just showed them during the pop-up sew day. I did not actually record it. So this person wanted to use that video in a class that she is going to be teaching. So I made a new one. And this is what I'm going to insert here right now. And it's very, very basic. But as I said, when I first started quilting, I thought cutting off your points was perfectly normal. It is not. And that separates the amateurs from the more skilled. Judges look at points if you're ever putting a quilt in a quilt show. So, and I know that I do too. If I'm at a quilt show and I'm looking at a quilt, I'm looking at their points. I want to see, did you cut those off? So, and it's not, with the exception of the Alaskan quilt, it isn't hard to to avoid cutting off your points. So this is what you will see in this short video. This video runs 14 minutes. So if you want to get a coffee, go for it. And I'm going to insert that in here right now. Okay, so I've had a subscriber ask me how I managed to get my points to line up in a block. Now, I did show this at one point in time, and I thought I recorded it, but I guess I had not. And so I'm going to show it to you again today. A lot of people cut off their points when they put their blocks into a quilt because they forget all about the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to show you the way that I do it, and I have a great amount of success with it, but I'm going to show it to you on a very simple 4-patch block. Now, this is a windmill block, and it's made up of 4 half-square triangles. But you'll notice that once they're sewn together, these points on the blue pieces will all fall into the center, and you want them all to look nice and sharp, and you don't want them cut off. So I'm going to show you what I do. First thing I'm going to do is sew these pieces together. So I like to take the first row, line them up, Get them all even. And the bottom row as well. I'm going to just move the bottom row to the side, and here's the top row. Now, how do you line it up? A lot of people will line it up by along the edge. And 9 times out of 10, that'll work fine. But sometimes your cutting is a little off for one reason or another. So what I like to do in where I can, in the case of this, I have a seam here, and I have a seam on the back side here. I can see my stitching line. So I'm going to place my two pieces together. Sure if you can see that in the camera. And I'm going to line up this bottom corner and that stitch line on the top square with the stitch line of the bottom. Now you can do this several different ways. I like to do it by feel. I put my fingernail in there, and I can actually feel where it's going to line up. So then I just pull it around. Now, I don't know if I've got this perfect. No, I do not. So you have to lift it up, line up the edge. I usually do this a lot faster, but because I'm demoing it, I want to make sure you're following along. Okay, and then I take a clip, or you could take a pin, or you could use glue. I like using my clips to hold it in place, and now I'm going to put it underneath my needle and sew a seam down this one side, just as you normally would. Nothing fancy here about that. Try and keep your pieces, and this is why I use the clip, straight. Okay, so I've got that piece sewn. Open it up. I'm just going to give it a finger press. And my points should line up. Point here, point here. Let me just turn this around so you can see better. And there's my point right there. Remember, I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance up here. So yeah, those lined up perfectly. So I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to take my other piece and I'm going to do the same thing. Just get it all lined up. I turned off the lights on my sewing machine because there was a glare. So now I'm having a little trouble seeing. Okay, I've got those lined up. Put in a clip. Make sure it's lined up down here. And there we go. Just double check that my seam lines are all lined up. Yep. And let's sew that. Okay, so open it up and see how we did. And looks very good. I am bang on. Oops. I'm bang on right here, as you can see. All right, so let's turn these over for a second and take a look at our seam. So when it comes to pressing, there's two things you can do. You can press your seams open. I don't do that on pieces like this. Maybe on smaller pieces I might, or press it to one side. So how do you know which side in this case to press it to? Well, if this is my top row, I press it to the left. If this is my second row, I'll press it to the right. So I'm going to take it over here. I'm just going to turn the camera. Hopefully you can see this. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to press this piece because it's on the top. I'm going to press my seam to the left. So it's going to go that way. Now I like to use the Acorn Precision Easy Press Pen. And I just put a little bit of it down along that seam line. This will help seam to stay flat.
Get out my little mini iron here and press it. Now you don't want to use steam, and you don't want to go back and forth like you're ironing a shirt. You just want to give it a good press. This stuff dries very fast, this Acorn Precision pressing solution. And that gives you a nice flat seam. We're going to do that with the other one. But because we went to the left of this piece, we're going to go to the right on this piece. And I've already finger pressed it in the direction I want it to go. Get out my pressing solution. And hold that there for a few seconds to dry it. Why not use steam? Steam will shrink your fabric. And then you may have trouble getting your seams lined up so that your points don't get cut off. Yes, it adds a little bit of time to what you're doing, but the end result is worth it. Okay, so I've got the two pieces here. Let's move the camera back. Okay, so this is my top piece. This is my bottom piece. Now I want to join the two together. Okay, I don't want to cut off my points. I want nice points here in the center. So I'm going to lay my top piece down on top of my bottom piece. I'm going to find my seam line on that top, right along here. And I'm going to line it up with the seam line on the bottom piece. And I can feel it right in here when I take my fingers. Hope you can see this. I can feel that seam right there. So when I've got that lined up, I put in a clip or a pin, and then I'm just going to line up my edge pieces. Don't think I like that. Double check just to make sure everything's lining up. And then I put in a clip on either side at either end to make sure my ends are nice and in a line. You might be out a hair. That's okay, you can trim it. Or sometimes what I do is very gently, because some of this is cut on the bias, let's give it a little pull. Make sure it's lined up. Okay, let's sew it. Now, sometimes the bottom piece may go a little crooked. I like to take my awl and I just line it up, hold it down with the awl, and carry on. Okay, cut my thread. Now, moment of truth. I'm going to open this up and let us hope. Okay, actually, what I'm going to do first, just going to press that seam, relax it a little bit, and then open this up. And there we go. Perfect points right there. Can you see? I'm very proud of that. Okay, so now you're going to take it over here. And we're going to press it. And it's up to you which way you want to press it. Unless I'm told differently in my instructions, in my pattern, I will press it the way there's the least amount of resistance, because your seam is naturally going to go one way. Now, here's another tip. In the case of this 4-patch block, this windmill block, let me see if I can get you up here a little bit more. There you go. It's kind of bulky in the center. Now, I can take it. I've got my precision stuff. I'm just going to give it a little extra dab in the center if I'm pressing it to one side. and just hold this iron down here for a few seconds. You can sing a little song if you like, or count in your head, or whatever floats your boat. Okay, that's looking pretty flat. But if that really bothered me, I could press my seam open. And I'm going to do that to have less bulk. So I'm just pressing it open, as you can see right here. And then again, I just use my... Do you need to use this? No, you don't. You can give it a good finger press. But you know, I really like the Acorn Precision Piecing pen and solution because things really lay flat. And so, got it pressed open. Hold it down here for a couple of seconds. Again, no steam. And there we are. It is nice and flat. And I'll just give it a press on this side. Again, I'm very lightly just going over this, sliding my iron over the top of it. I don't want to stretch my piece out. And there we have it. Just pull it back here so you can see. I have a very nice center. No points are cut off. Everything's nice and flat every time. So let us review how you do this. Line up your seams, the intersection points, and this goes with anything you're going to put together where you have points. Make sure you have the seams lined up, clip it or pin it, and then sew it together. Press it. Pressing's important, and you should be good. And you won't cut off your points. Does take a little bit more time, but it's better to line up your pieces along the seam line than along the edges in most cases, because this is more accurate. It'll give you your 1/4 inch seam allowance. So if there was other blocks on here, I would do the same thing and I won't lose my points. It's not hard. Takes a little time, but after a while, it'll become second nature to you and you'll do it all the time. So I hope you found that helpful.
Okay, and since we are going to be away in Japan, and even though I've given you one, well, not that long, but 14-minute video, I'm going to carry on. We're going to carry on with the Accuquilt series we've been doing. And this next video, get your second cup of coffee, is 26 minutes long. And it is using the Accuquilt Qube system add-ons for corners. They call it the corners. Every set of cubes, you can get 2 add-on sets as well. One is for corners, they call it, which are different shapes, and then another one called angles, which are also different shapes and give you a different look. One also adds to the number of blocks that you can create using the cube set. So I'm going to show you today basically how you use the corner set, and that's what I'm going to insert here. Got your coffee?
Okay, so we have looked at the Accuquilt Qube system from 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, and the 12-inch block sizes. We didn't do a 10-inch, but that's pretty much the same, or 9-inch, but they're in there as well. Maybe we'll come back and do those at some point in time. But now what I want to focus on are the add-ons. And I do have several of the add-ons, and I'll be honest, I haven't really used these yet. One set, as you can see, this is for the 8-inch mix and match cube. And it tells you that here. It says mix and match 8-inch companion set. And down here, this one is for corners, and this one is for angles. So just like in the other boxes, we have the little box in each one of these that will probably have our pattern booklet in there, plus it probably should come with a cutting mat. Now, I may have already taken the cutting mat out. No, I have not. There is my cutting mat. Usually each Qube set does come with a cutting mat. And of course, this CD, which is pretty much useless in this day and age. So let's put this aside, and here is the book. Now, we've seen this before. So I'm not sure what's going to be different in here because, as I said, I really haven't used these yet. So let's take a look inside. Of course, it starts with all the general information. Let me get it here. That we have in all the other books about how to use the system in general, and talks about how to cut your fabric and things like that. And it does show you the shapes that are in this box. Now, this box is the corners, and it has one die that, let's see, it is this shape. I don't know what you would call that shape. Do they call it anything? Chisels. This is called the chisel shape, number 9. Number 10 is the signature block, and 11.1, now we're getting into points of numbers. That's interesting, is the bow tie, and 12.1 is the half square triangle, which finishes at 1 inch. Okay, so those are what we have in this box. So let's look at their patterns. Okay, this is an interesting pattern right here. Why not go with it? It is, oh, that's an example block. Okay, let's, yeah, here we go. This is called the dovetail block, and it's going to use some of the dies in the mix and match 8-inch box set. So we'll have to get that out in a minute. We need a number 5. We do need the number 9, which is in this box. We need the number 3, which comes out of the main box, and the 2, and another 5, and a 9. So the only die we're going to be using to make this block is in this set. So let's pull this box out, excuse me, and take a look at what's in the box. So all of mine are in pristine condition because I have not taken them out of the package before. They're all still in their saran. The only one that we need is number 9 from this, the chisels. So let's pull that one out. And you see, each one comes with a pattern instruction card. And this one's focusing on the shape. So this one's focusing on the chisel shape. This one focuses on the, what did they call that one? That's the bow tie, I think. Just looking back here to see what they called that one. That's the signature block. The signature. Oh, I don't need to look in the book. I can look on the package because it's marked. So signature block, bow tie block, and half square triangle block. Okay, but we're going to concentrate on the chisels. So let's put this away. Put it back in the box. And let's see what we need. Well, first of all, let's go back to our pattern box. I'm going to put this away too. Keep everything nice and neat and tidy. And in the instructions, it says, we need the number 5, half square triangle, and number 5 is in the main set. And we need the 9 from this set, and then 3, 2 from the other set, from the mix and match set, the main box. So let me get all those dies out and organized. Okay, I've pulled up my dies, and these are them. And on the side, you have the numbers. So I need 5 from the mix and match set, 8-inch. I need the 9, which is the chisel shape from the corners add-on companion 8-inch. I needed the 3 and the 2, and most of those came from the same box as number 5, which is the mix and match 8-inch cube. Okay, then I need 3 colors of fabric, and I'm following their instructions fairly closely. My colors are going to vary a bit, but this will be my green, this will be my blue, and this will be my orangey yellow. Okay, so the first thing it says I need to do is I need to cut 6 half-square triangles that finish at 2 inches using the number 5 die. So the number 5 die is the one on top. And I need to cut 6 of these. So that means that basically all I need to cut is, let's see, I'm just looking at here to make sure. 1, 2, yeah, I only need to, I'm going to cut out more than I need because one of these counts as 1 half square. So I need 6. So if I double my fabric over, and I don't have to worry about direction of the fabric because this is not directional, and I just need to pass this through once with my fabric doubled, and I will have more than enough half square triangle pieces. Put on my cutting mat, slip it into the machine, let it take hold. And there we go. Give it a little rub, twist, and I have 4 half square triangles. I probably should have ironed my fabric a little bit better, but that's okay. Okay, so I can put this color side. Oh no, I can't because I'm using this color to cut 2 of shape number 9, which is the chisel. So can I get it out of this? Yeah, sure I can. And I need how many? I only need 2. So I've doubled my fabric over. Again, it's not directional, so I don't have to worry about having right sides or wrong sides together. Oops. Oh. Sometimes you get a little burp. Hit a spot that it thought was a little thick, but that's okay. It kept going, so no panic there. And there are my 2 yellow orangey colored chisel pieces. Okay, I'm now done with that color. Now I want my green. This is what I'm going to use as green. And I need to cut 2 half square triangles using the number 3 die. So get that. That's this one. These are a little bigger. So I need how many? I only need 2 of these. So there's 2 here. I only need to cut 1 layer of fabric. And there's the 2 triangles. And I think that's all I need in the green. The rest I am cutting from blue. And this is my blue right here. And I need the number 2 die. So let's find the number 2 die. And this is the number 2 die. This is 4 squares. They're 2.5 inch, making 2-inch finished. And I only need 2 of those. But I think I will cut 4 because, well, no, I'm only going to cut 2. And I'll show you how I do that. I make sure that I've covered those 2. These are the 2 I want to cut. And I'm just having my fabric go a little bit over. So there's going to be a little waste here, but not to worry. Oops. And there we go. the 2 squares. Okay, that's a piece of scrap. And then I need to use the number 5, and I'm cutting 2 more half square triangles. And this is the one I used just a second ago. Double check. No, that's 3. I need 5. This is 5 right here, the smaller ones. And I only need 2 of those. So let's take this piece. You can see here I'm just using scraps, getting the most out of my scraps. So there's those 2 pieces. And last, I need the wedge, which was number 9, this one. And I need to cut 2. So I'm just going to take my fabric, fold it over, place it on the die, my cutting mat, in the machine we go. So there we have it, my 2 chisel pieces. Ooh, I just realized something. Ah, this is important. They want the chisel pieces to all go this way. They want them to go in one direction. And because I didn't fan fold my fabric, I've got a mirror image. And I don't think I can use the mirror image. No, I can't. So I need to cut one more of these the right way. Now that's something you got to watch for. The instructions here did not tell me to do that, but I should have known better. So take some time to read your pattern instructions, as you probably should with any pattern you ever do. I'm famous or infamous for not doing that. So now I have, do I have what I want? What did I do with the other piece? Here it is. Yeah, those 2 I want that way. Now, did I do that with the other chisel piece? Yes, I did. The chisel piece in yellow, I want 2 pieces that go both the same way. So let's throw that to the side. And let's get our yellow out and cut 1 more of those. I'd like to say I did this on purpose to illustrate this point to you about mirror images, but you and I both know I didn't. Now, as far as my other pieces are concerned, I don't have to worry about them. They're all going, doesn't matter what direction I cut them. So I have those 2 pieces just like that. Okay. So I have my pieces all cut. So I'm going to move these things out of our way, and I'm going to lay these all out and show them to you again. Okay. So these are all the pieces I just cut. So starting with the first one, I needed 6 of these half square triangles pieces. I needed 2 of the chisel in yellow. In green, I needed 2 half square triangles. These ones are a little bigger. Then I needed 2 of these squares, which are 2.5 inches. Then I needed 2 half square triangles that are a little smaller. And then I needed 2 of the chisel pieces. Okay, so now I can start laying out my block. So we'll just move all these pieces off to the side so I can put them on my design board. And according to the instructions here in the booklet, and I'm just following these instructions, sorry about the glare. And it says I have to pin and sew 1 orange 2-inch finished half square triangle. It's one of these. I need to give these a little press. Just a sec. Just going over here. They're a little wrinkly. Should have done a better job when I first got out my fabric. Okay, so I need this up here, and then I need a blue chisel. And according to the diagram, I'm supposed to have the, let me turn this around so I can see it in my way. I think I have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. I thought I had cut out, did I not? Maybe I threw out the wrong one. Okay, or maybe I did not. I think I cut these the wrong way. Interesting, because in their instructions, they showed that I needed to cut, there's the 9-inch there, it needed to go this way, right? But according to their instructions in the diagram, I need to have a piece cut the other way. Do I not? Yes, I do. Confusing. Yeah, because it can't go this way. This has to be at the top. So I need to have this angle down there. So I need to recut 2 more of this shape, but going the opposite way. So that means I put the right side of the fabric down, because this is what I want. It has to go this way. Okay, this is an excellent opportunity for me to take a moment and show you my other Accuquilt machine. Okay, so I got out my more portable machine. This one is not electric. It's the Go, and I think they just call it the Go. I don't think there's another name for it. I'm just looking. Yeah, one's just called the Go. And the difference between it and the Go Big is that this one has a crank, as you can see. So I cut those pieces, those chisel pieces, wrong. So I want the chisel piece. This is the way I cut it. Nope, that's the wrong piece. That's the way I want it to go. Okay. Where's the piece? Yeah, here we go. I cut it this way, but that's not going to work because my half square triangle goes on this side. So I want to cut my piece this way. I'm sorry, this way. So the half square triangle would go up here. Are you confused now? Yeah, I'm confusing myself. So what I need to do is I need to cut 2 more of these, but guess what? I ran out of that color of blue, which is unfortunate because I have other pieces in that blue, but that's okay. It's just going to give me some variety here. So, and this is only a demo. So normally I want to cut 2, so I put down 2 layers of fabric. However, if I put them this way with the right sides up, I'm going to get what I just showed you that I don't want. So I need to turn them over with the wrong side up or the right side down. Make sure both pieces are covering the die. Put my cutting mat on, and this time I just push it up and I have to do it by hand. Now it's fairly easy to do. There's not a lot of resistance there. And now I have the 2 pieces both in the way direction I want them to be in. So I'm going to put this away, and all it does is folds up just like that. And I'll tuck that away and I'll lay out my pieces. Okay, so I've got everything cut right. Yes, to let you in on a little secret, I did cut those ones wrong. Also, did the same thing as I did with the blue ones. I have corrected that off camera. So now these are the pieces I need to sew together first. So how do you do this? Well, it's easy to line them up. You have this little part that would have been the dog ear that has been squared off by the Accuquilt, and all you do is flip it over, line up that top piece with that, line up the edges, and I'll sew 1/4 inch seam allowance from there to there. So that's what I'll do with all 4 of these pieces, get them lined up. You may want to put a pin or a clip in these to hold them in place, and that's what I'm going to do, just to make sure I'm sewing straight. And we're going to do the same with these 2 pieces. Accuquilt, when they do it this way, it makes it so easy to line up your pieces so they come out very, very accurate. That is, as long as your 1/4 inch seam allowance is accurate, you'll be fine. So I'll take another couple of clips just to secure these. And I'm going to take these over to my sewing machine. I'll do it off screen because I think you can figure out how I'm going to do this. I'm going to sew right along this part. In each case, I'm going to open them up. I'm going to press them, and I'm just going to press them to the side. I'll press probably towards the yellow, whatever. And then I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so you can see here at the top, I've taken my chisel pieces and sewn them into pairs according to the instructions. So I've got a blue corner up here, a yellow corner down here, and I have 2 of these. Those are sewn together. Next thing is I take my remaining half square triangles in yellow and 2, and I only cut 2 because that's all I needed, of these blue squares, and I'm going to sew them here. So this one will get sewn down here. And once I have it sewn to that piece, then I'll press it, and then I'll sew this piece over to here, this piece over to here, press it, open them up, and this unit will be done. And that unit should look something like this right here. Okay, so I'm going to go off and do so that. Our last 2 units that we need to make are what I have laid out here. Now I've already sewn these, the square, what I just did a moment ago with the blue square, the yellow half square triangles, 2 of those. And now we take the larger half square triangle and sew one to this piece and one to this piece. And it's really easy to line them up because the dog ears are already cut off. So all you have to do is line up those end pieces and then along the edges. Make sure it's all in there very nicely. And we're going to sew along this seam. And so I don't get things mixed up, because I have a tendency to do that, especially when I'm working upside down. I'm going to put a couple of clips. These will hold the 2 pieces together, but at the same time, it helps me to remember where I am sewing as well. Little trick there for you. And I get that one lined up. Put in my clip, and I need one more clip. And so I'm going to take these to the sewing machine, sew along this edge, sew along this edge, open them up, press them, and then we'll be ready to put the whole block together. So just before I sew the block together, I want to show you the 4 units I now have and the way they're laid out. And you can see really that other blue did make a lot of difference. In fact, it adds a little variety, I think, to this block. So now it's a simple matter. I just have to sew it like a 4-patch. So this piece will go over here first and sew it down. Same with this piece, will go over here, sew it down, open it up, press it. I'm going to press my seams for the top row to the left. I'm going to press my seams for the bottom row to the right. Then I can lay the 2 over top of each other, and my seam allowances, or my seams, will interlock very nicely and keep everything straight. And if you notice, I did not lose any points on here. My points are all very nice and sharp. So I'm going to take those off, and I'll show you the finished product. And so there we have it, our finished block. This is called the dovetail block pattern, and it was made with the corner add-on companion box to the 8-inch mix and match Qube. And I think it turned out very nicely. And it is 8.5 inches. And once it's sewn into a quilt, it'll be 8 inches finished. So that was pretty easy to do. And a very nice little block. So next time, we'll take a look at the other add-on companion, and that's the one for angles, and see what we can come up with that. Also, just to remind you, all of the Qube sets, not just the 8-inch, but all the 4, the 5, the 6, etc. All of the Qube blocks have add-ons for angles and corners. So if you want to make a bigger variety of blocks, essentially each one of those boxes adds, well, doubles basically the number of blocks you can make with just one complete Qube set. So good value, I think, for the money. Expensive at first, but the variety of blocks that you can get out of these is worth it, I think. So, as I said, next week we'll take a look at the add-on angles.
Okay, so next week we'll continue the Accuquilt series, and I'll be showing you the other add-on that I already mentioned called angles and how those all work. And then we'll be gone, and you won't have any So Chatties for about 3 weeks. Stop it. I heard you cheering. Walter's smiling and giggling. Yay.
Yay. I don't have to do So Chatty.
Oh, good. And they don't have to look at your bloody free motion quilting like, oh,
yeah, I know. Kill me now.
Kill me now. Really. But yeah, and so next week we're going to do the angles, as I said. And then when we come back, I may start looking at some of the more interesting dies. Ones like make leaves or do some other things. Oh, I've still got the double wedding ring one that's still in its wrapper, and it's been in the wrapper for 3 years. So I might attempt that because that's a curve. And it will be interesting to show you how Accuquilt handles curved piecing. So yeah, that'll be probably when we come back and resume our normal scheduled programming. Okay. And just speaking of that, it doesn't mean we will be off the air while we're in Japan. Depending on our technology and our access to the technology, and from what we have seen so far, it looks like the internet system that we'll be using is good, very good, in comparison to some of the ones we've used in other places in the world. So I am going to try to post a video, if not every day, every other day, just to show you what we were doing that day or those 2 days in Japan. Those videos won't be long, they'll be short, but it'll be a travel log, put it that way. And that's what will take up the time while we're away. You thought you were going to escape us, didn't you? Not going to happen. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. And yeah, okay, well, that's it. Anything you want to add or anything? Geez, you've been quiet through this whole session. Of course, mind you, looking at your free motion quilting and everything like that. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
sure.
don't have much to say.
No. Today.
Yeah.
First for everything. Okay, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And maybe we'll see a few of you on Saturday for the pop-up So Day, May 2nd. And otherwise, we'll see you on the next videos. Whoa, see you on Saturday, Stephen and Walter live on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern. See you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm just going to interrupt my program for just 1 second to remind you to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for future notifications. That's all I ask of you. Show me a little love. Thanks.